Bigfoot that we're about to show supposed to live out in Oregon and Washington.
Many think Bigfoot is just a campfire story, until these 9 encounters were captured on camera. The footage is raw, unfiltered, and too disturbing to ignore. From eerie silhouettes watching from the trees to something non-human attacking and taking the hikers away forever, every clip raises one terrifying question: what if we're not alone in the woods? These aren't hoaxes, they're warnings. Watch now before the truth gets buried again. They were never supposed to stay past the weekend, yet 14 years later, no one knows what happened to Jonathan and Rachel. On September 2nd, 2010, 34-year-old Jonathan Jett and his girlfriend Rachel Bagnall set out for a 3-day hike across Mount Matil in British Columbia. Both experienced hikers, they planned a scenic route ending at Valentine Lake before parting ways. Rachel would volunteer at a children's welfare center, and Jonathan would head back to the US. But after entering the trail on September 4th, they vanished without a trace. Their car was found days later near a remote trailhead. Inside were phones, camera, and gear, but no sign of them. The photos on the camera showed the couple happily documenting their hike. But one image stood out, a distant shot of a large, bear-like figure trailing them. Another photo captured a strange tree bent unnaturally as if crushed by something massive. There were also 2 videos. The first, filmed the night before they disappeared, showed a humanoid figure lurking near their hotel window, its oversized hands brushing the glass. Jonathan was seen calling the police, but by the time they arrived, the figure was gone. Interestingly, 12 years later, the innkeeper also vanished in 2022 under similar mysterious circumstances. The second video was far more disturbing. Filmed deep in the woods, it shows the couple reacting to strange sounds, whistling, snapping branches, movement just beyond sight. Jonathan zooms in on a broad, motionless figure partially hidden in the trees, staring straight at him. Search efforts launched by police and volunteers yielded nothing. No gear, no remains. A few scattered footprints, a dog that refused to go further, and one missing hat that wasn't even theirs. Everything pointed to a dead end. Some believe that they were followed and hunted by something not quite human. Jonathan's camera and phone were found in the car, yet they'd never left. Did he make it back, only to run into something that forced him to return to the forest alone? Why leave behind the essentials? Whatever happened after that moment remains buried in the mist of Mount Matil, and the last thing that the camera recorded has never been made public. What do you think it contains? Some chilling truth or unthinkable violence? Let us know in the comments section. Back in 2023, a hiker captured a few shaky seconds of what might be the most convincing Sasquatch footage ever recorded. That clip quietly disappeared until now. Recently resurfaced, what makes this one different isn't just the creature's shape, it's the sheer size. The man was trekking up a dirt slope when he heard heavy movement behind him, like thick brush being torn apart. He turned and spotted something towering among the trees. The footage is blurry, but when slowed down, the outline is unmistakable. Broad shoulders, long arms, domed head, and legs that stretch farther than any human stride. This thing stood at least 9 or 10 feet tall, maybe more. Its build wasn't bulky like the classic Bigfoot image. It looked taller, leaner, but still powerful. The face appeared lighter than the body, and for a split second, its eyes caught the light and glowed. The man didn't stick around. He caught a few seconds of footage and then ran. No details were shared about the location, likely on purpose to avoid drawing crowds. And while some critics say that the creature looks too tall to be Bigfoot, the reality is, reported sightings have ranged from 6 to even 15 feet tall. So was this a new species, a trick of the camera, or finally the proof that everyone's been waiting for? What do you say? We want to know your views in the comments below. In the summer of 1961, a night watchman stepped onto his porch for a coffee break. His factory stood alone between Big Rapids and Chippewa Lake, Michigan, across from his family's home. Behind the plant, the dense haymarsh stretched dark and silent. Around 3 a.m., he saw movement by the chain-link fence. Expecting a trespasser, he reached for his gun. What he saw didn't walk like a man. It was taller, broader, covered in brown-gray hair, shifting between 4 legs and 2 as it paced under the lights. He slipped inside, grabbed his 35mm Kodak camera, and returned to the porch. Hands trembling, he took a long exposure photo just as the creature stepped into view. Then it dropped to all fours and disappeared into the trees. The photo ran in a 1962 Fringe magazine, which later vanished, but the negative remains locked away with the camera. The image exists, but no one knows what really walked through the haymarsh that night. No one has gone back to find out. What do you think it was? Share your thoughts in the comments. Something strange showed up in a government photo, and it wasn't the storm damage they were there to document. While surveying the aftermath of a storm in Messmore, Pennsylvania, National Weather Service officials captured more than just fallen trees. In the background of one image, behind a snapped trunk, stood a shadowy, towering figure, larger than any human. The location? Fayette County, deep in the hilly, forested terrain near the Allegheny Mountains. It's a quiet and remote place, and now possibly the scene of something unexplained.
Supposed to live out in Oregon and Washington State.
I mean, he could travel. He's got big feet. Seems like he can move.
That's true. You can get around quickly.
The National Weather Service posted this photo of their team checking out storm damage in Fayette County, and that's out by Pittsburgh. And look at that, what's going on back there. Yeah, it was just spotted over the border in West Virginia, and now apparently made its way to PA.
What about the dude in the foreground there? Does he even know that's behind him?
It doesn't look like it. He's facing the camera,
Yeah.
sir. According to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization.
I belong to that group.
Do you? Pennsylvania ranks in the top 10 states of Bigfoot sightings.
I did not know that.
So Bigfoot likes it here. I mean, it is an interesting looking thing.
We should talk to somebody that can...
The sighting triggered immediate speculation. Was it Bigfoot, a prank, a mistake even? Locals offered their own explanation. Some residents are known to place life-size iron or wooden statues in their yards to provoke curiosity. But this figure didn't look like it was crafted. It looked like it was moving. Strange sightings in this area aren't new, however. In 1977, a family reported a 6-foot hairy creature. Cyclists later heard beastly growls in Greene County. In 2013, someone spotted an 8-foot prehistoric-looking figure. Pennsylvania is a Bigfoot hotspot, with reports dating back to the 1800s. Still, no proof, just debate. The eerie part is the latest photo came from a weather team, not a conspiracy theorist. They just dismissed it. Others didn't. What exactly did the National Weather Service capture that day in the woods of Fayette County? And why does this quiet part of Pennsylvania keep drawing the attention of something, or someone, lurking just out of reach? Share your opinion in the comments section about this. A massive creature has been terrorizing remote communities in northern Ontario, and multiple eyewitnesses have captured startling evidence. Near Fort Francis and Fort Hope, locals report seeing what they can only be described as Sasquatch, towering beings walking on two legs, leaving enormous footprints and vanishing into thick forest just moments after being spotted. One video, recorded near Red Gut Bay in early spring, shows a shadowy figure with what appears to be an impossibly long arm and huge hand moving through the woods. The footage, enhanced with filters, reveals details that confirm the presence of something far beyond just ordinary wildlife. This isn't an isolated incident. Around Fort Hope, residents have reported huge humanoid creatures throwing rocks and uprooting small trees near their homes, often traveling in pairs or even in groups. The footprints they leave behind measure between 14 and 19 inches, much too large for any known animal, and some witnesses describe beings over 8 feet tall. Sightings like this spike every spring, with locals reporting eerie, childlike cries at dawn. These sounds often coincide with smaller footprints beside larger ones, hinting at a possible group living in the forest. The video captured deep footprints in packed sand, spaced about 5 feet apart, vanishing into marshland, too quiet and too wide for a human. Despite rising reports and evidence, the mystery only grows. What are they? And how do they stay hidden? And what happens if they stop hiding? The shadows in the northern Ontario woods are stirring, and something ancient is watching, waiting. What do you think? Would you like to visit this place and experience the terror? Tell us in the comments below. Again in Pennsylvania, something massive growled in the Pennsylvania woods, then stood up like a man and vanished into the thick forest. Bob, a seasoned hunter, was deep in Albany National Forest just before dawn during deer season. As the sun began to rise, he heard strange grunts, first mistaken for deer. Then came a low growl. Bob turned toward the sound and saw something enormous, almost 9 feet tall and more than 3 feet wide, emerge from the dense brush. It moved effortlessly through the undergrowth, towering and silent, only 75 yards away. Fear took over, and Bob fled, but the encounter left a mark on him. Since then, curiosity has drawn him back, joining others hunting for answers in Pennsylvania's wilds. In the meantime, far away in North Carolina, a boy named John grew up knowing every forest sound. But nothing prepared him for the terrible stench that hit him like poison one fall morning by Hiassee Lake, a smell worse than the deadliest skunk. Then came a splash in the water from an impossible source, a giant rock hurled from nowhere. Years later, during a deer hunt on a ridge, John sat frozen as a huge black figure emerged from the shadows. Standing over 7 feet tall, with arms hanging low and slow, heavy steps, it moved silently across the clearing. Terror overwhelmed him. That day, he abandoned hunting forever. Both stories hint at something beyond the known, a creature neither bear nor man, hidden in America's deepest woods. What are these beings, so fleeting yet so real? Why do they reveal themselves only in brief, terrifying glimpses before disappearing? What waits out there just beyond the edge of the trees? Tell us what you think in the comments below. In rural Georgia, a man let his dog out one morning. It barked non-stop at the cellar door. That night, it scratched the floor above it. Then came the smell. Faint cigarette smoke from the cellar. No one there smoked. He found the door wide open, but nothing inside. Later, he and his wife heard coughing beneath the floor. The dog went wild again. Nothing in the cellar once more. The next morning, half of their chickens were gone. Giant footprints circled the coop. He set up a camera. The footage showed a massive ape-like creature stealing the chickens with a cigarette in its mouth. He rushed out with a gun. Nothing was there, gone. At sunrise, he returned. Then, something thumped on the roof and crashed through the ceiling. The creature landed on their table. His wife stabbed it with a fork. It screamed and fled. Later on, their neighbor, Mr. Woods, confessed the creature had lived in his shed for about a year, but what he saw in the woods behind his property was worse. It walked into frame like it owned the forest, towering, hairy, and gripping a live chicken. No sound, no frantic struggle, just an oddly calm march into the trees. The way it held the chicken wasn't savage, it was deliberate, not how a predator behaves. It didn't silence the bird or restrain it tightly. Why risk the noise? Why not kill it first? Something here felt staged. Viewers quickly pointed out the proportions. It was too human. The stride lacked the wild gait known from the older Bigfoot footage. The arms, the height, the way that it moved, fluid, not beastly. Some swore that it was a man in a suit. Others argued the suit was too smooth, too well-fitted, either too expensive for a prank. Even the foot anatomy, allegedly showing a metatarsal break, had believers leaning in again. But the chicken, that's where everyone kept circling back to. It didn't make sense. Was it bait, a symbol, or a mistake in an otherwise convincing act? What do you think? Tell us in the comments below. He followed the wrong footprints and vanished forever. On December 5th, 1998, 9-year-old Derek Ingredson went missing in Oregon's remote Fremont-Wenema National Forest. What began as a simple family trip to collect Christmas trees turned into one of the state's most baffling cold cases. It was a yearly tradition for the Ingredsons, but that year, something went wrong. While his grandfather and father were scouting for trees, Derek, full of energy, dashed ahead into the snow. He spotted a set of footprints and, thinking that they belonged to his dad, followed them deeper into the woods. But those prints weren't Robert's, they were much larger. When the family reunited minutes later and realized the boy wasn't with either of them, panic set in. They followed the trail, but all of a sudden a blizzard rolled in. Visibility dropped. Robert sprinted down the mountain and flagged a driver for help. Police arrived with helicopters, dogs, and hundreds of volunteers. Searchers found a snow angel near a trail, but no child. Later, they found a small shelter made from thick branches that no child could snap. And that's where the trail vanished. 3 days in, search dogs picked up nothing. Instead, they howled, terrified. After a week, officials called off the search. The family kept on looking. Weeks later, a school bookmark and a candy wrapper turned up miles away. Traces of blood were found. And then came the rumors. A hunter's photo from 2022 showed a deer being stalked by a large, shadowy figure. Theories spread. Something, possibly Bigfoot, was behind Derek's disappearance. Investigators noted dozens of similar child disappearances in Oregon's forests. What's striking is that most of the cases were never solved. Meanwhile, years passed and one day a pair of leg bones surfaced in 2008. But they weren't Derek's. Maybe these belonged to someone else who disappeared just before, just like Derek. His family never stopped searching though. His father, Robert, still returns to the forest each year, tying balloons and candy on trees on Derek's birthday. A faded missing poster still hangs from one of them. Do you think Derek will ever return? Do you think he just lost trail in the forest, or it's really something like Bigfoot that attacked him? Your opinions and discussions are most welcome in our comment section below. And now, to continue this chill, just watch the next video.